I am Tom Just One Pack, and this is AC on the Short Alpha Clash podcast, where I talk all things Alpha Clash on my way to work. Now, this weekend was the Awakening in Retford, England. So this is and I went, which is why this episode is a bit late. Now, the Awakening is the lowest tier of competition. I think rivalry pursuits are about the same level, which is it's completely casual. But in a European setting, this is the best we can do. And the reason we can do that is because there's a couple of guys, the Clashing Teacups in in England, that are absolutely smashing it, and and a store that is working very hard, as far as I can see, to keep and maintain the game in Europe. Um, so kudos to those four guys, AJ at the Leaky Teacup in Redford. And thank you for having us, if you're listening. Um, so the Awakening itself is a low tier, competitive level of organized play, but it's the highest tier that we have in Europe so far. So that also means that the best players in Europe are probably the ones that went to the highest tier in Redford. If you are in Europe and have never heard about the Leaky Teacup or the Awakening in Redford, reach out and I'll show you to let you know for the next one, or even if they get around to doing a Clash Ground at some point in the future. Anyway, the Awakening was a full round and then went off points at the end. A few comments about that, but we'll save them till the end. My own matches, I did not win, by the way, just making that clear. My own matches were a mixture of competitors, a really interesting thing. So one of the things before I went there, I have not seen Echoes of Eternities for reasons stated earlier. So I had no idea what the cards actually did or how the contenders would perform. I've not played around with any of it, but they in England they have. So I was meeting people who could bring out cards that I had never seen and maybe mechanics that I had no idea existed. Right. So it wasn't too bad. No, it was fine. But it did make some interesting meetups, if you like. So one of the things, let's just go through the matches, right? So my first match, I met a red Moxie deck that, as you would expect, trying to get some tools out and some big scary clash cards, and really attack me hard. Never happened. I was so damn fortunate to in both games to be able to shut that down and not letting have a chance to not having my opponent have a chance to get that machine rolling. The event card was outside a local game store, which is, as it turns out, is just the same as one of the blue cards in set 6. So, but it starts in play, and that's sort of the whole point. It was roll a d6, and you either discard yourself, or diminish. Sorry, not discard. You either diminish a card yourself, or your opponent diminishes one, or the pot loads, depending on what you roll. was fine, I guess. Didn't have the same impact, right? But I was lucky enough to uh, to do that just right. So in I think it was game one, my opponent got conscription out, which is funny enough, it's sort of a dice roll, right? And I was able to. Didn't have enough resources to get rid of it and have a benefit because I was running out of cards at that point. Already, I was running out of cards, and I had an alternate strike in hand, so I needed the portal open. So I rolled. I gambled. I tried to see if I can do both function, both effects on alternate strike. I rolled a 6. The portal got open, and I could do both. So just damn unfortunate for my opponent. Very good for me. Got cards in hand. I also took a little bit of damage, but there's no problem. The first game was actually over in 15 minutes or something like that. Went really, really quickly. Second game was just a tad longer, but he never got his engine running. It was I think it was close, but my deck just performed a little bit better today. So I had the first win in the first match. The second meetup, I turned into I played a Conquest deck. Now that Conquest deck had just won the first prize of the day because that was the one that finished a round the quickest. In about 20 minutes, he had stumped his opponent twice, and I made that Conquest deck. And I've tried to build a Conquest before and never really got it to work. But he had made it work. So one, it was very aggressive, and he had a lot of success with his trigger victories, which I did not have my build. Had a lot of success with those, which means he kept adding value to himself. And I found myself playing an aggressive deck, trying to just clear his board every time. So all my resources and ingenuity, whatever I could bring to the table, was just to clear his board. So I never really got around to doing anything myself. And that, of course, meant that in game one I lost, and game two was exactly the same. He just overwhelmed my aggressive deck by making me having to clear his board. So mine was not meant to be big swings on his turn. So I played Torque. Maybe I should let that up front. I played Torque, and the whole idea of my Torque deck was to get guys out for cheap fairly early and make big swings with them on my turn. But that also means by the way to do that was through Enrage. That means that they're big on my turn, not so big on my opponent's turn, which sort of aided his trigger victory, right? So I lost that game. I lost two games and thereby the match. So I was 1-1 at the end of game 2. At game 3, I met the King Mongol and a Kagan deck. Fairly straightforward Kagan, really. And I've been playtesting against Kagan, so it was a sort of a fair match in that sense. The thing with Kagan is that once the Draken is out, that is just a horrible situation to be in. And sort of the party trick against the Kagan I have been playing against is having the Draken out, swinging with that, playing a front line, swinging again. So like 20 damage in usually the last turn, right? In this case, the Kagan was also trying to get dragons. He never got around to that, uh, but at some point, the my deck just ran out of steam, and his deck sort of took over. And in the first round, I got him to 4 life when I was at 30, I think. But my card draw did not work sufficiently. Just one of the idea of card draw in Garni's, in Torg is that I ping myself for 1 damage and then get a card from that. That had not worked. I ran out of juice at that point and was just overwhelmed by flyers, really. The second game, we got to 30-40, and I had no more to push with, and I just could not get that last bit in before he ate up my 30 life. That makes me sad, but that's the way it is, isn't it? The next game was almost the same. I got down to 5 life when I was 28, and then I ran out of juice and could not get the last bit of damage in. At that point, he had his tooling up as well. So we would love to just solar smashed him to death, but that did not happen. So I lost that one 2-0. So I'm not at a 1-2 win for me or whatever. Just a single win. In the last round, I played one of the before mentioned Clashing Teacups, playing a new contender, Sanai, one that I hadn't really looked at before. Just I know the contenders, the text, but it seems like a very odd thing to get to work. But you sort of make it work with a lot of card draw, and I got a newfound respect for the Nano Shield. So in total I won that game, both games, so that's a complete victory in that sense. But there was just no point where I was absolutely certain that this was I was certain that I was going to win, fairly certain. You can never be too certain. But I never felt in control of the game. Partially because I didn't know how the contender would work, what cards would be in there, but partially because that Nano Shield switching around could really do some damage to my game plan, not my cards. It could damage my game plan because it simply prevents damage. If you don't know. Whenever it's on a clash card that it takes damage, it pops off, but the damage never hits. I did manage to get rid of a card had Nano Shield by pinging it independently twice. It had just 1 life, but it had Nano Shield on, which means that it can block and survive, right? Obstruct, sorry, and survive. And it did way too much. But by pinging it for a single damage and then making the shield go away and then pinging it again, I got rid of it. But you have to do tricky stuff like that to get rid of some of the blockers, which is potentially very strong, I think. So that was an interesting match that I won, and that's where I ended up at a 2 wins and 2 losses. To be fair, Sam that lost to the Conquest player that I lost to went on and took a 2nd place, and the Kagan player took a 3rd, shared 3rd. I don't know. There were 2 Kagan players, and they had the exact same points, the exact same win ratio, but was beaten by the percentages. So if you don't know, in XP Network, apparently, there are a percentage which is as I understand it, calculated from the how hard your opponent were going toward whatever points you had. So if you met really, really difficult opponents, you got a better percentage. If you met really easy, you got a worse percentage. Now that is maybe it's a clever way to find out who is actually the best. The thing is, that sort of put some sour grapes in that, is that first and second place at the Awakening were decided like that, as far as I remember. Yeah, first and second was decided like that. Third and fourth was decided like that, and fifth, sixth, and seventh were decided like that. Now, that's not a good feeling. It makes it for not a clear winner if out of 4 rounds you have 10 points each, but one has a percentage score better because the draw, which the player has no say in, showed up with harder opponents for one than the other. It's sort of a feel bad. It makes for a funny feeling if that's the way you decide your tournament. Saying, well, you just were unlucky in the draw. I've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 play because toss of coin. I think that made me a 6th, not a 5th place. Because the opponent above me had exactly the same in terms of points. Actually, the opponent below me as well had exactly the same number in terms of points, but had a different percentage than me. But we had the exact same points, the exact same percentage as far as we could see. So I guess that was up to a toss coin. So I don't think I like the new system. It seems odd to be able to win or lose the entire tournament. Never mind my place, but the number 1 and 2 had same points, just different percentages. So it feels weird saying, well, you're the champion of this because you had harder opponents during your match. A thing that number 2 could not have done anything about. That seems odd, but that's the way it goes. At least with the new system. Anyway, that was the Awakening. I did not win. The top decks the top contenders were Death at first, going in first place. Of that, Conquest, and below that was two Kagans, making up the top 3, 4. So a very interesting matchup at a really good tournament. Thank you for having us, AJ, and the League Seeker. Anyway, that was it for me. I'm at work, so I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.